Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Buckle up right now because today we are diving into something so big, so bold, and so potentially franchise-altering that by the time this video is over, your mind is going to be completely blown. We are talking about a behind-the-scenes move that the Blue Jays front office has been quietly cooking up while the rest of us have been distracted by injury updates and disappointing box scores. We are talking about a name so big, so dominant, and so exactly what this team needs that just saying it out loud gives you chills. And we are talking about a decision that could either save this entire season or define the next decade of Blue Jays baseball in ways nobody is fully prepared for yet. If you are not subscribed already, hit that button right this SE about it because you do not want to miss a single word of what we are about to break down. Let's get into it. Alright, let us start by painting the picture of exactly where the Toronto Blue Jays find themselves right now, because understanding the gravity of this situation is absolutely essential before we get to the bombshell at the center of today's video. The Jays are sitting 9.5 games behind the top spot in the American League East. Their record is 18-23 and climbing in the wrong direction. The Rogers Center, a building that should be buzzing with playoff energy and championship ambition right now, is quietly becoming a place where bad news goes to multiply. And the standings are just the surface level of a problem that runs much deeper than wins and losses on a spreadsheet. This team was built to win now. Let me say that again so it really lands. This roster was constructed, assembled, and paid for with the explicit intention of competing for a World Series championship in this window, not next year, not in a rebuild, not in some imaginary future where everything magically works out. Right now. With Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in his prime. With George Springer still capable of being a difference maker. With a bullpen that was among the best in baseball not that long ago. The infrastructure for a championship run is here. The talent is undeniable. But right now, injuries and struggles have combined to create a crisis so severe that the front office can no longer afford to sit back and hope things naturally correct themselves. Bold action is required. And according to everything being whispered in the right circles, bold action may finally be coming. Before we get to the main event though, we have to talk about the injury situation because it is the foundation upon which every single problem this team currently has is built. Max Scherzer landing on the injured list with forearm tendinitis is devastating enough on its own. But here is the part that should genuinely terrify every Blue Jays fan who is paying close attention. The front office has been remarkably, suspiciously quiet about the true nature and timeline of Scherzer's injury. And when front offices go quiet about a 41-year-old pitcher with forearm issues, history tells us very clearly that the news underneath that silence is almost never good. Forearm tendinitis at that age, in a pitcher who throws with the kind of ferocity and intensity that Scherzer has always brought to the mound, has a very real and very uncomfortable way of becoming something far more permanent than a simple IL stint. We are talking about a scenario where the Blue Jays could be looking at a situation where Max Scherzer never takes the mound for them again this season. And if that happens, you are staring at a $100 million investment that returns 0 wins, 0 innings, and 0 help to a rotation that is already running on fumes and desperation. That is not just a baseball problem. That is a financial and organizational crisis that demands an immediate and aggressive response from Ross Atkins and everyone in that front office. The silence surrounding Scherzer is not reassuring. It is a warning sign that something significant is being managed very carefully behind closed doors, and fans deserve to know what is actually happening with one of their most important and expensive roster pieces. And if Scherzer's situation was not enough to keep you up at night, consider the full scope of what this pitching staff is dealing with right now. Jose Berrios is facing the very real possibility of Tommy John surgery, which would wipe out not just the rest of this season but potentially a massive chunk of next year as well. Shane Bieber is working his way back but has not yet returned to the rotation. The depth that was supposed to insulate this team against exactly these kinds of setbacks simply does not exist in the way the front office hoped it would when they put this roster together. Young arms like Trey Acevich are being asked to hold back lineups like the Tampa Bay Rays, and while you absolutely love the competitive spirit and effort those young pitchers bring, asking a developing arm to be your stopper in a pennant race is a recipe for exactly the kind of results this team has been producing lately. The offensive situation compounds all of it in the most painful way possible. At the center of everything is the absence of Alejandro Kirk, and I want to make sure people fully understand just how significant his absence has been for this ball club. Kirk is not just a catcher. Kirk is not just a guy who blocks balls in the dirt and throws out base stealers. Alejandro Kirk carries a 108 OPS+, which for those who do not speak advanced metrics means he is a significantly above-average offensive contributor at a position where most teams are simply happy to get mediocre production. Without Kirk behind the plate anchoring the top of the lineup and providing that consistent on-base presence that makes the entire offense function the way it was designed to, the Blue Jays have cratered to 23rd in the entire league in offensive production. 23rd. That is not a slump. That is a structural collapse. Brandon Valenzuela has genuinely impressed and deserves real credit for the 3 clutch home runs he has delivered while stepping into an incredibly difficult situation. The kid has heart, and the Blue Jays organization should feel good about what they are seeing from him in terms of competitiveness and fight. But let us be completely honest with each other right now. Valenzuela is still developing the framing skills, the game-calling instincts, and the veteran presence behind the plate that only comes from years of experience at the highest level. He is not Alejandro Kirk yet. He may never be Alejandro Kirk. And until Kirk is back healthy and fully operational, this offense is going to continue struggling to string together the kind of consistent, multi-inning attacks that winning teams produce on a nightly basis. Every single day Kirk spends in Dunedin is a day this offense operates below its true potential and ceiling. Which brings us, at long last, to the bombshell at the center of today's entire conversation. The name that changes everything. The move that would send shockwaves through the entire American League and announce to every team in baseball that the Toronto Blue Jays are not going quietly into any good night. Sandy Alcantara. Say that name again. Sandy Alcantara. The former Cy Young Award winner. The workhorse of workhorses. The man who currently leads all of Major League Baseball with 47 1/3 innings pitched this season. A pitcher with a 3.04 ERA who eats innings the way this Blue Jays rotation currently devours antacids. What started as a forum rumor, the kind of speculation that fans post at 2 a.m. when they are desperate for good news, has evolved into something far more concrete and far more serious. The Sandy Alcantara operation is no longer just wishful thinking. According to what scouts are whispering in Miami and what sources close to the situation are indicating, this has become a mathematical necessity for a team that refuses to accept the death of its championship window. Think about what bringing Sandy Alcantara to Toronto would actually mean in practice. You are not just adding a starting pitcher to a rotation that desperately needs one. You are injecting a former Cy Young winner directly into the heart of a clubhouse that, if we are being brutally honest, has started to show dangerous signs of accepting its own mediocrity. When a team loses the kind of games the Blue Jays have been losing lately, when the injury news keeps piling up and the standings keep getting worse, a certain quiet resignation can start to settle into the culture of a roster. Players stop believing. The energy changes. The fight dims ever so slightly. And the only antidote to that kind of cultural drift is the arrival of someone so undeniably talented and so obviously committed to winning that the entire atmosphere of the clubhouse shifts the moment he walks through the door. Sandy Alcantara would be that arrival. Sandy Alcantara would change everything. But here is where the conversation gets genuinely complicated and genuinely important, because nothing worth having in baseball comes without a cost. Acquiring Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins would require giving up elite prospects. We are not talking about shuffling some mid-level pieces around in a minor deal. We are talking about opening the vault, reaching into the future, and handing over names that Blue Jays fans have been excitedly tracking through the minor leagues for years. The kind of prospects that represent the next wave of homegrown talent that every franchise dreams about developing. That is the price of a pitcher like Alcantara in his prime, and anyone who tells you otherwise is not being straight with you. And so here is the question that every single Blue Jays fan needs to honestly ask themselves right now. Would you rather protect the future of this franchise in 2030, keeping those prospects safe and hoping they develop into stars down the road, Or would you rather make absolutely certain that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. does not waste another single day of his prime waiting for a front office that was too cautious to pull the trigger when the moment demanded courage? Because that is the actual choice on the table right now. That is what this decision comes down to when you strip away all the noise and all the financial complexity and all the organizational politics. Do you protect the future or do you seize the present? Do you play it safe or do you go all in for the window that is open right now? The financial engineering required to make an Alcantara deal work is admittedly complex. You have Scherzer's contract sitting on the books with all of its insurance complications. You have Bieber's deal. You have the payroll structure that limits just how aggressive the Blue Jays can be before luxury tax implications start creating their own set of problems. Ross Atkins and the front office are navigating a financial puzzle that has very few clean solutions and a lot of uncomfortable trade-offs at every single turn. But here is the thing that needs to be said clearly and without apology. The only unacceptable way to save money in this situation is through a lack of courage. Teams that penny pinch their way through championship windows do not win championships. They win hindsight arguments about financial responsibility while other teams are celebrating in October. The market for Alcantara is not going to get cheaper. Every dominant outing he throws in Miami, every inning he eats, every lineup he carves through on a Tuesday night in a game the Marlins have no business winning, his price tag goes up. The teams that need pitching, and there are many of them right now, are watching the same thing the Blue Jays are watching. And the team that moves first, that commits fully and without hesitation, is the team that gets the prize. Waiting is not a strategy in this situation. Waiting is simply losing ground to every other desperate contender who wants exactly what the Blue Jays need. The fate of the 2025 Toronto Blue Jays season now rests on two things simultaneously: the health of Alejandro Kirk's thumb and the courage of Ross Atkins to make the most aggressive and significant move of his entire tenure running this franchise. Those are the two variables. Everything else is noise. If Kirk comes back healthy and the offense rediscovers its identity, and if Atkins pulls the trigger on Alcantara before the window closes completely, this team has every ingredient necessary to turn this season completely around and make a legitimate run at the playoffs. The talent is real. The window is still open. But it is closing faster than anyone wants to admit, and the time for decisive action is not next week or next month. The time is right now. Alright folks, that is everything we have got for you today, and what an absolutely massive conversation this has been. If this video had your heart racing and your mind spinning about the future of your Blue Jays, do me the biggest favor in the world and smash that like button right this instant, because it genuinely keeps this channel alive and growing every single day. And now I want to hear from you, because this is the most important comment section question we have asked in a long time. Should Ross Atkins go absolutely all in for Sandy Alcantara right now, prospects and all, no hesitation? Or do you still trust the medical staff to pull off a miracle with Scherzer and Bieber and let the internal solutions work themselves out? Drop your answer in the comments below and let this debate run absolutely wild, because I read every single one and your voice matters on this channel. Subscribe if you have not already, hit that notification bell, and stay locked in, because the trade deadline drama is just getting started. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and as always, let's go Jays.